Hokum was so amazing. It was exactly what I wanted. So I saw Hokum, and man, I am so just so satisfied. Um, Frankly, like the horror movies that come out so far this year have been pretty good overall. Um, like Undertone wasn't my favorite film as much as it got hyped up, but in hindsight, overall, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't like my type of movie. But this movie had everything I loved in horror movies, like um body horror, good psychological horror, a great atmosphere. But let's get back to what Hogum is, just in case anyone doesn't know, for this non-spoiler section, real quick. Um, so this movie is classified as a supernatural horror, um, and it's directed by Damian McCarthy. Other movies I know him up for. I'm not sure if he has any other movies, but I know him for Oddity and Caveat, which are great films. I forget about Oddity, but I know Caveat is set in Ireland as well, just like in this movie, and it makes sense because Damien is an Irish director, so you know, use what you know, as they say. Uh, but this movie, the description is Bombin, which I kept butchering. I kept trying to practice it on my car, um, when I was on my way here, but they say it several times too in the movie, but I keep just in my head the pronunciation wasn't clicking. But Bombin, um, a misanthropic author. I should know what that means, but I should have looked that up earlier. I actually don't. You know what? Let me just look it up real quick because whatever. It's my review at the end of the day. Um. Okay, so misanthropic, a deep-seated distrust, dislike, or contempt for humankind and human nature rather than specific individuals. Okay, that kind of makes sense considering the kind of storyline we follow with Bauman. But let me continue the description. Misanthropic pronunciation, geez. Author who travels. Basically, you need to know he's an author, a writer, a pretty successful writer. It's kind of hinted at, because as soon as he goes to Ireland, like a couple people in the hotel are like, "Yo, are you bombing?" And they're like, he's like, "Yeah, blah blah blah." But he travels to this remote Irish hotel, to scatter his parents' ashes. Um, and he becomes obsessed with the hotel's haunted honeymoon suite and the local witch lore after a staff member disappears, leading to a tense, slow burn psychological thriller. Which, yeah, this was a thrill ride for sure. And I'm downstairs, so you might have heard the washing machine. Um, it's still going on. I didn't even know it did that. Um, it's doing a whole song. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that. Hopefully, it's not too loud in the actual final. Um, Good, it finished. Um, but yeah, this movie just it at all fronts is just a great horror movie, and it's really scary. Like I like when a horror movie doesn't go overboard with its setting. Like I already like a good hotel setting or a good like enclosed space where like people just explore the different floors of that said building. But yeah, just movie just does that so well, and like it doesn't really over. I mean, there are a couple characters and there are a few plot lines, but it doesn't really overwhelm you with too many characters. You mostly just follow Bauman, and they do this kind of trippy thing right in the middle. I mean, right in the start of the film, where it's a completely different setting, but it's framing um what Bauman is writing. So yeah, it was an interesting start. I was a little confused first because I was like, why are they in a desert? But it's based off his book series that he's trying to finally finish off, and he's really conflicted on the ending of it. And this is all the start, so I'm not really spoiling stuff, but I'll keep it a little bit, more linear with my talk about it. But yeah, just like from the creatures, um, all the visuals, again, the atmosphere, and just the overall setting, it just works so well. Like every Ireland set film I've seen, I feel like, I mean, I want to visit it one day, so that's probably why. But like, just it's just such a creepy looking place, especially at night, because you have all the tall trees, the forests, and all the folklore. Like, we Americans, or if you're American watching this, we don't have much to go off of when it comes to the lore of our history. But like, they have so many like interesting creatures to go off of. I have like because I really love Irish folklore. I have like this folklore book that I got from Barnes and Noble a while ago, and I always like end up rereading it. In this movie, I was just constantly like, "Oh, what does this connect?" And I was like the witch lore that's in the movie. Um, it's like the kind of the main enemy. You might have seen her in the trailer. Um, and also just kind of like the traditions that they show. Like there's a lot of animal motifs in this movie. Like you see at the start, there's like a goat that gets killed. Um, in the middle of the film, um, it's kind of like in a flashback. I'm gonna say whose flashback, but um, the people in Ireland, in the hotel, they're wearing like also I forget what the hotel's name is. I know it starts with a B. Um, I guess it's not that important. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not that important to know exact name of it. It starts with a B, something like that. Maybe I'll show it on screen, but basically, like in, it's like kind of like a Celtic festival kind of tradition. Um, that like they'll wear like animal costumes to kind of like uh disguise themselves or ward off like wandering spirits. And by all means, I'm not an expert, but this is just stuff I've like found online and also like kind of read. So I'm just kind of going off the dome and also a little bit what I looked up just for some extra comfort. But yeah, it's really interesting how like the little nods to his culture, what Damien does, and just like kind of building the lore of the film. Like everything that gets foreshadowed just has such a great payoff. I'm gonna say it later on, but like there's a great payoff in the middle of the film, um, that saves Bauman. And like, if you ever played Resident Evil 7, this movie feels a lot like that. Of course, you don't have like there's so many noises down here. Oh my gosh. Of course, you don't have the bakers, but it's not that extra. Like the main um antagonist of the film isn't like the most intimidating guy. Um but well, the human antagonist, I should say. But yeah, like just the obstacles that Bauman has to kind of go through, it does feel very like survival horror-ish, which is what I think I really love. Like the bedroom DLC for Resident Evil 7. It's like one of my favorite DLCs I've in like the Resident Evil series. It's such a unique little like section where like you're just trying to survive this one bedroom um bedroom setting while like the main enemy like this gosh, I forget her name, the spider lady, spider wife, Miss Baker. Um she comes in to check on you. You're like a kidnapped person. Um, but like there's all these puzzles that you have to like figure out in this one room of the bedroom, and that's kind of like what Bauman does in the middle of the film. But not to get too spoilery, because that's really where like the meat of this movie is. But yeah, like I really recommend this movie if you want like a good scare. Like this movie, like undertone is like, I mean, and there were some moments I do believe people might find a little bit egregious in this movie. With they have kind of like cheap jump scares a little bit, just like with the music, like like the classic like dun, or like you hear like the piano go like it's just some stuff like that that's a little bit cheap. But this movie is like overall creepy. Like I feel like this is, in my opinion, I haven't seen The Mummy yet. I do want to see it once it comes on streaming services because I was too busy to see it. I'll watch it. But like so far this year, like horror movie wise, this is the scariest and creepiest by far movie. This movie just does everything I want personally in a horror movie, and I what I personally think is what horror movies should overall be. Like it doesn't like go over, like I said body horror earlier. And there kind of is, but it's not like egregious like gore. Um it's just a little bit of like a little sprinkle. Like it's like salt. Like just a little bit of salt on the freaking chicken. But they don't go overboard on it on the seasonings. You just like add like a tad bit to really like bring out the natural flavor of the meat, which is what this movie does, like in full colors. Like literally, I'm gonna say it later. My spoilers. I only have one complaint, and it was like just a minor complaint of what I would personally do if I was in this situation. But yeah, this movie is just perfect to me. Like my rating is 10 out of 10. Like this movie is just it's perfect. Like I I'll have to rewatch it when it comes out on streaming services, or I might even be swayed to just buy, or if they have one, but to buy like a DVD version. Because this movie is just it was just so good. Like I was glued to the screen in every moment. Like there was not one moment where I was bored. I was just entertained the whole way through. There was a couple emotional moments where I connected with Bauman as a character, and also sympathized with some other characters that ended up dying as well. And just overall, this movie was just at all fronts just the perfect horror movie. Um, so yeah, 10 out of 10. And before we get the spoilers, I'm gonna have my own personal ad for my little YouTube channel. So recently, I came out with my first novelette on Amazon. It's called Princess Flora. Um, so it's a fantasy, kind of supernatural, like urban, I guess urban fantasy has to start off with, um, kind of like comedy and a little bit of romance. But this is a novelette. It's only 6 chapters. It's not that long of a read, and I'll just give you a quick. Well, actually, I'll just give you the overall book description. So here we go. All Emily Johnson wants is to be normal. A normal, jeez, I don't know how I read that wrong. Wants to be a normal, average teenage girl. Growing up without a father and stuck with a jokey, sarcastic, oh my gosh, you could tell I didn't practice this, sarcastic, nonchalant mother hasn't exactly made that easy, but she's managed. She's got a handsome boyfriend, she's seeing her favorite rock band live, and she's halfway through high school and only mild emotional trauma. Life isn't perfect, but it's finally starting to feel like hers. Then Monday morning hits. A few days after her sweet 16, Emily wakes up with clear, silky wings and unsettling black insect like eyes staring back at her in the mirror. Worse, she apparently has a destiny, one her mother never bothered to mention until now. Forget boys and algebra, her life has taken a sharp turn into fantasy. She can hear the voice of nature itself. Strangers from another realm are expecting her to save them, and somehow she's the key to keeping an ancient evil sealed away. She didn't ask for wings, she didn't ask for magical fairy powers, and she definitely didn't ask to be haunted. But Destiny doesn't care what Emily wants. When the call to action comes, she'll do whatever it takes to protect the people she loves from evil, even if it means becoming something more than human. So that's Princess Flora's description, book one. Check it out. Um, it's for on Amazon for paperback 1413 and hardcover 2188. I have some colored illustrations in the book. And it's kind of why the price is warranted like that. But regardless, let's move on. Spoilers. So, yeah. Again, this movie is just fantastic at everything it does when it comes to horror. And I'm just going to get kind of my favorite parts of the movie so I won't string along this too long. Because I do want to geek out a lot about this movie, but I tend to rant too much like I am right now. Um so like one of my favorite parts of this movie is kind of the foreshadowing of different connected scenes. So kind of I'd say it's like about after um Bauman uh comes to the hotel. He goes to the bar and he starts talking to Fiona, who, if you remember from the beginning, um well, they didn't say the name in the description, but she's the girl that dies, and he feels kind of obligated to try to find how she died or who killed her. Um, and I'll say obligated because in he's kind of going through a lot. His parents are dead. Um, and because of that, he oh yeah, I forgot, at least according to other YouTubers. I can't say the actual term, but he game ends himself. And yeah, it's pretty horrific. Um but she's able to save him in time, cutting his rope. So yeah. Um he feels obligated to save her, but I say this because she gives him like this Irish folklore book, and they just read it off together, and they foreshadow that witches um are weak to chalk. Well, they're not weak to chalk, but chalk creates like kind of a protective barrier circle to kind of negate witches. So yeah, that's something foreshadowed later on in the film. And there's like a great scene where he's on the bed and the witch is chasing him from the basement because the witch is in the basement in the honeymoon suite. It's kind of like what's all this evil is coming from the honeymoon suite and what people previously disappeared at um in the hotel. And they have like in the trailer, I'll try to show the trailer, they have the honeymoon suite gated off because of all this, evil going down downstairs. Um like the owner, he has the key, always stayed with him. His son-in-law, which I'll just say now, he's like the main antagonist human for Bauman in the movie, because he's the one that kills Fiona by putting her down there. Not directly. He intoxicates her and makes her pass out, and he puts her down the what's it called? Not elevator. It's called something like a little shuttle. No, that's not what it's called. Whatever. Um, yeah. So Fiona dies. He feels obligated, but there's a great scene again, like I said, on the bed, and the witch is like creeping in, and the chalk saves him because he circles it around the bed. So it's just great scenes like that happen. Um, if you know this movie, you might have seen like this creepy rabbit with like bulging big eyes. Um, He makes an appearance. I thought he was going to be the main antagonist, honestly, but as cool as that would have been, I do like that the witch is kind of the, at least folklore wise, is kind of the big bad of the movie, and ultimately is funny enough. I think his name is, jeez, I forget his name. I think it's Mao. Let me just look it up. His name is Mao, the antagonist of the movie. But um, yeah, it's just, again, great scenes. Uh, See, I just lost my train of thought because I'm trying to do too much. Um, yeah, just there's a mystery behind who killed Fiona, and that's like the reason why he stays in town. Um, by the end, he finally finds peace with himself and what he's done, because the reason why, at least his mother is dead, he was playing with a kid. He was playing with a gun as a kid, like he should have been, and accidentally kills his mother. So throughout the whole movie, he's kind of like really moody, at least at the start, and really just regretful for what he did. And yeah, it's really sad. But he's a bit of a jerk to a lot of people. This is guy that he's like the bellboy. He wanted to give him, it's a really funny scene, but he wanted to give him his manuscript, and he's like a big fan of um Bauman's work, and Bauman's just not having it. He's like, dude, I'm he's like, he read the room like a morning, and yeah, it's a great scene. Um yeah. I say too much. I need to get better. Um yeah, it's just, this movie, just by all marks, is great. Uh a lot of good funny scenes as well. Uh there's a scene that's pretty funny. I'm talking about goats and how they stand on cars and they see their reflection. Um and yeah, I might cut this out. Jesus Christ. Uh yeah, I give this movie a good recommendation. I'm gonna end it here because I don't know what else I want to talk about. Maybe I'll just add it in post if I remember anything. Um, just the whole setting of him being in the honeymoon suite and trying to find an escape. It's just it's just so great. It's so much good tension, so much good, because he kind of like starts tripping out a lot, um, because he's constantly drinking just to fight off the pain. Um, of just kind of being down there, or just not fight off the pain, I should say, just kind of just to waste time. And one of the guys in the movie, he kind of hints that, like, open your mind by like drinking and stuff. It can like open your mind to like the supernatural. And I guess it kind of does in a way. Um, Something I kind of connected. Not remembering now. Um, Fiona. She Before she dies, she records basically like her last moments, and she kind of gives him like hints, beyond the dead, of what he should do, or what he could do, who's down there, um and all that jazz. Like, he tells him like the elevator doesn't come back up, so he makes a solution by like this kind of like bell clicking thing to prop it next to the button to like hit it at a certain hour, and he has like a watch to come back. And there's a lot of cool back and forth, which is why I made the Resident Evil comparison. He does like a lot of back and forth to find different items to escape. Like, he finds a secret passageway under the door, because he gets locked out by Mao, the main human antagonist. And he tries to escape the room. That's the whole reason why he's stuck in the room. Oh, this actually brings me to the point I meant to say earlier. Um, it was like my one complaint with this movie. There's a window that like literally leads outside. And again, maybe this isn't the exactly greatest plan, but it kind of would help his situation. Because they're on like the highest floor in the honeymoon suite. But with that being said, there's a window right near the bedroom, and I'm just like, why not just get something to break that window and yell outside that, hey, I'm stuck in here, help me. I don't know how hard the glass is, but at least going off of most windows, they can be broken. It just takes a lot of force, but they can be broken. So I was just like, especially like this old behind hotel and the old behind like honeymoon suite. I'm sure that window was a modern made window, because basically like the honeymoon suite is not kept together at all. So everything in there is just old. Like there's an old bathtub that's just all grimy and looks like blood at this point. It's just all brown. Um, so it's just like you're just in a really old environment. So I kind of figure that like something like a window will be able to break easily. An old window of that. But yeah, just oh yeah, the body horror. By body horror, I think like they labeled that because of the way like Fiona dies. He really looks like a decrepit corpse by the time he finds her. Like her eyes are all whited out, but she looks kind of like just white and pale, and just her whole bodysuit just looks a little bit like dirty and bloody already. Like her soul got sucked out of her, from which is what happened with the witch in the basement. Probably like sucked her soul out of her, but she was able to somehow, you know, sit herself in the little elevator shaft um before she died, even though she wasn't able to go back up. But yeah, I think I'll end it here. I think that's all I wanted to say. This movie's great. Go see it. Like and subscribe if you enjoy my review slash rant at this point. And bye bye.